Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. I'm looking forward to talking with Leonor Estrada. Leonor, I found you on Facebook from a post that Julie Silver posted, who I've been going to for acupuncture for years. And so she posted that she had a life-changing, maybe I'm putting some words in her mouth, session with you, and you are a Feng Shui and Chinese astrologist. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk to you about Feng Shui and Chinese astrology. Diving into Feng Shui, I probably about 20 years ago, I read a book. I was skiing in Colorado, and they had a random book there called Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui by Karen Kingston. And so I read it on the flight home. And while I was reading it, I was taking notes, and I came home and I said to my wife, we got to clean the entire house. And we spent 18 hours getting to one bag of garbage. And it was the most therapeutic thing. And I loved it. And so I've always loved the idea and concept of Feng Shui. You are a Feng Shui specialist. Kind of define a little bit what Feng Shui is.
Sure. Thank you, John, for having me.
Thank you.
Feng Shui, yeah, it's a really old set of knowledge, Chinese knowledge that has been there available for thousands of years. As you just mentioned, the cluttering and having a tidy and clean house obviously is the basic of it. But that is not Feng Shui itself. Feng Shui is the science that studies how the different type of energies are going to affect the life of the person. So depending on the type of energy that you are exposed for long hours, let's say, that is going to have an influence on your life.
Yeah. And so you are a Feng Shui specialist, not only for homes, but for offices, for commercial spaces. And so what types of things are you looking for? I mean, so somebody who's listening to this, who's maybe heard of the word Feng Shui, not really thought too much about it, but now they're thinking about it, can kind of describe like what an energy block may be because of something that isn't Shui, or, how do people even pick up on that type of stuff or know that there's a potential issue?
Okay, well, typically when it comes to houses, people are struggling basically with health issues. This is quite common that they are experiencing a kind of pain, let's say a headache, quite often. And they go to the doctor, and the doctor make all type of tests, and everything seems to be okay. So that is when people start to try to find, like answers from other resources, So sometimes the energy that person is exposed during the time that person is sleeping, I mean, in their bedroom, is draining its own energy. So that creates that headache. So the way energy works is very subtle. I mean, until it makes a illness, or until it becomes a proper illness that doctors can identify, the energy is still bugging you, and so you're gonna feel those symptoms. So that is a pretty common one. And also the relationships. I mean, when people call me, sometimes they say things like, I don't know what is going on, but every time we are at the living room, everything's end up in a discussion, things like that. And so they're wondering, why is that they just move in that area and things go sideways and kind of things like that. So again, the energy influence them to be prone to a discussion.
Yeah. And so it's kind of, I guess, how would you compare it? Like, so those are great comparisons too. It's kind of like almost what I'm hearing you say is like almost when you're around somebody that you don't even like their energy. You can't even put your finger on it, or you're in a situation that doesn't feel safe. Are you suggesting something's wrong with the Feng Shui or the energy around you?
Exactly. People tend to think that it has all to do with the person, I mean, with the other person,
right?
But it's not necessarily. I mean, there are other factors that we can talk about when it comes to the Chinese astrology, the person itself. But talking about Feng Shui, the space where we are is like something is like poking you all the time. So you are prone to be, very, very defensive. So it doesn't matter if it is your husband, your kids, but I mean, people just end up in a discussion. So that is when they are like, it's not about the person. It's something is going on here.
Yeah. And what do you do when people resist? You tell them it's feng shui and they resist. They say, well, I like this there, or I like that piece of something. And even though maybe the energy maybe isn't in alignment with them.
Well, when I see something that may create a big impact on the room, not a little ornament, but something that a big piece or a big something that is very, very bold. I always ask the person, what does this mean to you, or why you like this? Sometimes they say, well, I just don't really like it. I mean, I don't care. I don't mind. I don't even know why it's there. And when they give me that kind of reason, I'm like, okay, so there's plenty of room for changes. On the other side, if they are like, I just love this and da da da, I would say something like, would you be happy if we place this somewhere else so you still have it not here? And so there is where the negotiation to manipulate the space is going to start.
Yeah. All right. It's so fascinating. So let's talk about astrology. You also are an astrologer, and so I think it seems like there's different types of astrology. What's the difference between just astrology, Chinese astrology? I know there's a lot of what's the differential?
Well, to be honest, I never studied Western astrology before. All this started when I moved to China. So honestly, I don't know much about Western astrology. The reason why I start learning 4 pillars, which is the proper name for Chinese astrology, was because when you want to help somebody and when you are going to feng shui somebody's house, you need to know the energy of that person so you can connect and customize the work. So I don't really know what are the big difference. However, obviously it uses a Chinese calendar, so which is going to give you all the animals and all those things, and it's going to be an extra tool to understand what is going on with the person at certain time.
Yeah. And when you give somebody the tools in Chinese astrology, is the feedback that you give them kind of, hey, absolutely, this is what is, or hey, this is the situation, this is how you can grow here and tools to evolve? What is it from your perspective? Because I think some people get nervous, like, don't give me what is already sealed in fate, right?
Yes.
What can I do? Because are you giving me content that I can do something with?
Oh yeah, definitely. What I love about the 4 pillars reading is that at the end of the session, we come up with a kind of a strategy, if you want, or a plan on how to navigate, like for example, this year. So given what you have on your own chart, and there is an extra layer that on time that is divided in decades. So you need to analyze your own chart. So and then the decade on time where you are, and then this year, like the year of the tiger. So out of all of that combination, you are gonna have obviously sometimes a better year than other. And when the year is a little bit challenging, we come up with a strategy. Like, okay, this is what is given. So from here, what you can do. So like, if let's say a lady is like asking, or I want to have a baby or something like that. And because of the elements that are shown, is like the chances are not huge. So instead of that, what could be done to use this time and this energy positively, to get prepared for when the time comes, because it will come for sure.
Yeah. I love that. So, so somebody who is thinking, listening to this, and or knows somebody who's interested, who's thinking, wow, if I feng shui my house, if I feng shui my business, if I feng shui myself, if I do Chinese astrology for myself, I may get too much content, right? I may, is it gonna, am I gonna have to spend X amount of thousands to redo this? And so how do you educate people to process the information that they get in that respect?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. Certainly, the first time when they do the feng shui consultation or the four pillars reading is gonna take, I mean, like longer. I'm gonna try to explain, I mean, more detail what is going on. And the thing is that once the person starts to, I mean, into the spin of this, let's say, way of living, because the energy is not going to stop at any moment. It keeps like moving and
Yeah.
changing all the time. So when they start to get to know that and understand that, it's quite easy. Like for the next year, they are like, okay, so I kind of start to feel that things are moving differently. I don't know in which way they are
Yeah.
going. So they are gonna have like the reading again, and then create that new plan for the new year, and tune their houses again for the new year, and everything, I mean, in their lives is gonna become smoothly. I mean, given what is given for everyone each year.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love the whole concept of feng shui and astrology and things of that nature. A quick speed round for you, Lenore. Finish these sentences. Somebody who wants to do this but is nervous to do it should.
Try
um, Once they try it and get the feedback, what is one small step that they can do that isn't overwhelming?
it. Follow instructions, follow the suggestions.
Right. If there's something that somebody hears that they don't like, is it always written in stone?
Mm, just a few things are very rigid, but just a few. The most
Uh-huh.
of them can be negotiated.
Okay. All right, good. I'm just trying to think of things as people are listening to this, to kind of calm the nerves of kind of,
I
how
love this
they
game.
think about
Yeah,
it. Right.
yeah.
Because, if they want to connect with you, Lenore-Estrada.com, right? That's Leonor-Estrada.com.
Yeah.
And that'll be on the notes, the show notes as well. How can people connect with you otherwise, Lenore?
Well, there is my website. There is LinkedIn. I mean, you can find me also in Google. Just Feng Shui in Michigan or Feng Shui Leonor. There are many sources.
All right, good. Well, is there a book that people can read that you would recommend to kind of maybe get them started on the whole idea of feng shui and or Chinese astrology?
Oh yeah, certainly. For Feng Shui, there is this book. I don't like the title. Too many people are having like a word on that, but it's a great one. It's Feng Shui for Dummies, but it's very important. The author is Master Joseph Yu.
Uh-huh.
Make sure
Okay.
that is the author, so not to get sometimes there are similar titles.
Yeah.
And for four pillars, yeah, there is a great one of my teachers, um, Raymond Law. So you can start with any kind of book written by him.
Great. And last question. Best piece of advice you've ever received and or learned from feng shui and Chinese astrology?
Best piece of advice. That's a great
Or
one.
best piece of wisdom or something that you've taken from feng shui and or Chinese astrology?
Well, I think one of yeah, well, one of the ones that I like better is the fact that we are in Chinese metaphysics. We understand life in general like divided in three parts. So one part is going to be fixed, and that is our four pillars, because that is the energy that we were print at the moment we were born. So that is not going to change. But then you have the other two that you have used, you can use to help yourself. And one is the feng shui, so you are going to manipulate the energy around you. And the other one is like the thing that you and I practice, like acupuncture or meditation or any other kind of practice that is going to get you balanced. So understanding that all of the, I mean, each of those parts have like one third influence on your life makes a whole deal for me.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
that's great. I appreciate it. Again, your website is Leonor-Estrada.com, Feng Shui and Chinese astrologist. Leonora, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Julie Silver, for getting us connected. She and her whole shop are incredible acupuncturists in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Thanks. It was great to connect with you. Think community. If Leonora can help, check out her site or give her a buzz. Thanks, everybody.